Contaminated.
Yeah, because we're contaminated and we're completely closed off, they'll just be like, just give me some tape and whatever, and I'll just cover it after the fact. But now, me trying to be proactive, I'm trying to look for the trash can. But because I'm already contaminated, I have the freedom to kind of move around and touch things I wouldn't normally touch. Right. So I'm not actually going to do it because it's a pain in the ass to fish it out. But, you know, I bring this up and then we just bunch it up. But remember, make sure that there's a bogey tip on it.
But the bone gets.
Yeah, this can be disposed of, everything else. It's just a tip, you want to be careful because if it sticks out and EBS goes and gets it, bam. Yeah, so and I'm just like, okay, you know, package it up, throw it in there, throw it in there. Your next final, after this, the way it ends, we break down our case, we secure that our stuff's sterile, right? Other than our mail stands. So, as long as you do stay sterile, when you contaminate your mail stand, it is what it is, right? The way your final will end, our drips are down, dressings are on, this is good counted, closing and full count. And the last thing is properly removing your gown. Oh yes, thank you. Now, I don't want to contaminate my field with my dirty instruments, but I want to keep them within the same vicinity. So, you guys just kind of do this. Because as you're breaking down, you should be able to see it. If not, pay more attention. Lord help us all. But anyway, so that's contaminated. It's done for, including the last, right? But this is nice and safe. So I don't want to go back and touch anything. Because I touch the trash can, I touch everything. Your final will end. Popping this thing, right? Grabbing your, not your scrub, but just your gown, right? Try to pop that Velcro off. And then your waist, pop that back part off. Let it roll into itself, right? Try not to touch anything on the inside. Ball it up into a ball. Right? Glove to glove, skin to skin. Cool. Now, those gloves that I dropped, they are now. But the pair that I dropped, now I can use those, I'll put those on, I can start breaking down my trains, restringing them and all that stuff.
They don't need to be sterile, but you still want to have some barrier between you and.
Yes.
Is that the kind of reason?
The reason is, so yeah, so case in point, I dropped those gloves at the very beginning.
Yeah.
It'd be dumb of me to throw them in the trash because I can use those at the end to do this part. You don't have to use surgical gloves to clean up. You can use wall gloves because at that point it doesn't matter. As long as the patient rolled out by the book, as long as the patient rolled out, you're free to contaminate. The reason I like the surgical gloves, it has more coverage. The wall gloves go up to right here.
Yeah.
So this at least gives you a little more coverage. Especially if I dropped it, I might as well use it. So at this point, the pair that I had, I took it out, put them on like whatever, and I just started dissecting my stuff.
And then when you say dissecting, you're just putting stuff back in the.
Yes. So, this is how you properly break down your stuff, right? Once the patient's been, their dressings are on, anesthesia's waking them up, right? Like, you know, surgery, right? And then they extubate properly, not just yank up the tube like this, but they extubate, right? Patient's waking up, they're all super groggy, and then they're pretty stable. We help transport them over if we can, right? And we make sure they're okay. All right, let's go to recovery. So as your nurse goes with the patient with anesthesia off to recovery, the last wheel left that door. Now I'm good to go, right? So gloves. Extra small gloves. So wall gloves are okay at this point because the patient's out of the room. We're done. All right, so small gloves. Then you're gonna want to get what we call the enzymatic spray. It looks like Windex. You just spray over all your instruments because that starts breaking down all that blood that's been caked on. It's like a pre-cleaning. But anyway, I don't have a gown, right? I want to be careful to not really lean over because then my scrubs are going to touch the dirty stuff, right? So still kind of keep your distance. Now, because the patient's out, I have the freedom to grab these instruments, right? You got to be careful that there's a loaded needle. Even after the case, right? Take this off carefully. And my sponge. That's secured in there. Now, never leave your knife plate failure before you put it back in there, right? So, grab the corner, lift them up.
At this point, you can magnetize everything, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Take advantage of the magnet at this point because they're not going to be reused.
Right.
So you don't want them flopping all over the place. But anyway, I basically secure my sharp one last time. The needle that was loaded, right? My blades that were still loaded, that should be good to go. But now everything else is a free game, right? Kind of just, I can actually organize it as I go. My stringer. The culture. Do not throw away your culture. If your nurse hasn't gotten it yet, so you're gonna say, we're gonna start the culture. You're like, oh yeah, just put it over here, whatever. So I usually.
And it doesn't matter if it's
Right. Because this is all contained, right? It's only that. Because this was touchy blood stuff, I usually just have a courtesy and put it on top of the towel. On the trash can or whatever. Right. So now I can
make a mess.
yes. So I can go back and kind of start restringing my stuff, right? So kind of in that same order.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Scissors. Where are my poopy scissors? Because the patient's out the room, I can then go back and get all my poopy instruments, right? Makes no difference now.
Because they're not going to be used anymore.
Yeah, because they're not going to be used anymore.
Whoa, yeah.
So,
Go
start
to surgery fast.
it. As close as possible, trying to restring my stuff in that order, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know the order part yet, you know, it is what it is. But it just helps SPD like expedite the turnover of the instruments.
Yeah.
So, that's that. Then, if I remember correctly, if you go to put them back, there's a part where it spells back. Babcocks, Alice's, and Cokers. We're doing it the other way, it's cab, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, not the end of the world if they're not in the order, but at least have them strung up.
Mm-hmm.
It helps anesthesia. So I usually get a little bunch at a time.
SPD.
SPD, yeah. What did I say? Yeah.
I mean, they can help them do what they want.
That's why we blame them for everything, because they don't help. You have anesthesia, why don't you take my instruments down? Save yourself some time. You can have a bunch at a time. And then by this time, patient's being rolled over to recovery, and then the nurse eventually comes in and starts helping turn over. Respect the tray to not mix up instruments. So spray, 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 spray. Right? This goes back in the container, wherever it is. Well, let's assume that he's part-time. Your preceptors / nurses will just throw this in like that. It bugs me because now it rattles around. I repackage them in its own cases. It saves space. To each their own. But anyway, got my instruments. These sponges should have been tossed out. Even if they're clean, you want to still put them in the pink bucket, even if there's no blood on them, because you can't fully confirm that there's no airborne particles on it, right? So this is how they get disposed of anyway. So all my sponges, used or not, especially when I have my names, right? Used or not, they'll go there. So now my sharp, gotta make sure these are secured, right? So make sure these are nice and usually it's a giant one like this, you just toss them in.
So
Never,
the
yes.
whole box would go in the
Yes,
trash container?
because it's a lot more safe. It's safer, right?
Safer, yes, it's safer.
It's safer to just throw the whole thing in as opposed to like flipping it over, because then the magnet gets in the way, and then you may
So the whole sharps box.
the whole
into
sharp
the sharps container.
just straight up into the sharp spot. Now everything else should theoretically not be anything sharp. It's all disposable. So use this as my trash can, right? Just shove everything in there. I'll get that later.
And then everything gets thrown out.
Everything gets thrown out. You don't know if any airborne particles landed on it, right?
Okay.
So, what I like to do is then just kind of do this, get the sides, and make it like a little ball. Now, same with this one, right? I have other stuff in here, pile up in the middle. So try to be very conscious and not let it touch your gown or your scrubs as much as possible. So that went in the trash. It'll stand. Now, because I do it so tightly, right? I see some suture stuff. Let me just make sure there's no nothing in there. It's empty. It's empty. This is all trash. That's all trash. Right? because I do it so tightly, sometimes I just have to pop it open. Now drop it on the toe.
Roll it up into its own little taco burrito thing.
Right? Into the trash can. So now all my stuff is broken down, and then the dirty instruments, and then all that stuff, right? Now I take this whole case down to SPD. But as I was saying earlier, if you have trays that are on standby in your case cart that you did not use, do not put your dirty used instruments with those instruments. They'll cross-contaminate. Hopefully your nurse has already kind of cleared this out and did you a solid. If not, as part of me breaking down before I put my dirty stuff in here, I'm like, crap, it's full. All right, let me take these out. Take off your gloves. Right? Your new gloves. So you already touched stuff at that point. So you're like, if you have to empty out your own case cart, oh well. Get up whatever new gloves, take all the clean stuff out. And there's a specific spot. There's another case cart out in the hallway that we call go backs. It's the stuff that we pulled but we didn't end up using. That goes for instrument trays and supplies. So once I have my case cart fully cleared out, now I can start putting all my dirty stuff into it. Just take the whole cart down, that's SPD, and then the room gets turned over, and then just do it all over again for the next day. That's pretty much it. So did everything. I just added the whole breaking down. That's gonna actually be your final. It'll say like breaking down and